the web since 1996. This is Cinematic Sound.
And welcome to a brand new edition of Cinematic Sound Radio. This is the show dedicated to the music of film, television, and video games. My name is Eric Woods, and I'm your host. Thank you very much for joining me. It's a rainy, dreary, wet, soaking day here in Kitchener, Ontario. I'm recording this on Saturday, September 17th. It's a perfect time to record a show like this. Kids are out of the house, wife's out of the house. I got the place all to myself. So let's get this thing started. We have 6 new incredible scores that we're going to play for you on today's program. We also have a fantastic album called Cinema Serenade, which will be our John Williams album of the week. We also will be featuring a re-recording in our Film Music Vault selection, which is Paris Burning by Maurice Jarre, which is a new recording by Tadlow Music. And at the end of today's program, we're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Crocodile Dundee with music by Peter Best. However, to open up today's program, we're going to start with one of our 6 new releases. And this new score is called The Red Turtle, with original score by Laurent Perez Del Mar. And this is a tender and surprising score by Perez Del Mar, who has written this score for an impressive 2016 French-Japanese animated film directed by Michael Dudok-de-Witt in his feature film debut. This film tells the story of a man who tries to escape from a deserted island and battles a giant turtle. The film, which has no dialogue, follows the major life stages of a castaway on a deserted tropical island populated by turtles, crabs, and birds. In the absence of dialogue, Perez Del Mar's music is naturally the most important voice in the film. It is performed by the Macedonian Radio Symphony Orchestra under the baton of Oleg Kondratenko. The film has been awarded the Special Jury Prize in the Cannes Film Festival for 2016. The score is lush, beautiful, whimsical, soaring, deeply emotional, which, like the artist from a few years ago, carries the film, which makes the music one of the most important aspects of the film. And if it fails to do its job in the movie, then the film fails. While I haven't seen the movie, it's been getting incredible reviews. And if that's the case, then the score must be doing its job and doing it well. This is one of the finest scores of the year. It's by Laurent Perez Del Mar from the animated film The Red Turtle. Music from the Special Jury Prize award-winning film at the Cannes Film Festival this year. It is The Red Turtle, with original score composed by Laurent Perez Del Mar, an incredible effort that is available on Quartet Records.
You're listening to Cinematic Sound with your host, Eric Woods.
Welcome back to the show. Up next is our John Williams album of the week, and this comes from 1997 recording called Cinema Serenade, which was the result of a collaboration between John Williams and one of the world's finest violinists, Itzhak Perlman, who recently celebrated his 71st birthday on August 31st. Williams and Perlman first collaborated on Steven Spielberg's Holocaust drama, Schindler's List. And due to that collaboration, they reunited to create a collection of excerpts from a variety of different film scores presented in new arrangements that are centered around Perlman's violin. John Williams arranged most of the numbers and conducted the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra. We're only going to play two pieces for you right now from this album, and they are two of the three pieces that are available on this album that were composed by John Williams. The other, of course, is Schindler's List, which would be an obvious selection for this album. What we're going to play for you right now is just about 10 minutes of music. First, we're going to play a wonderfully arranged piece from the 1992 film Far and Away, and then we're going to hear the theme from Sabrina, which the theme in the original soundtrack recording was played mostly on piano. However, John Williams has transcribed that theme to violin for Itzhak Perlman. And now two selections composed by John Williams from an album called Cinema Serenade, released in 1997, featuring the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra and violinist Itzhak Perlman. Here is Far and Away and Sabrina. That was Itzhak Perlman, along with members of the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra, conducted by John Williams in two performances of two Williams scores, Sabrina and Far and Away. And that comes off an album called Cinema Serenade, released in 1997. A sequel album was released 2 years after that called Cinema Serenade 2, The Golden Age, featuring Golden Age music, again transcribed and arranged for Itzhak Perlman's violin, featuring music by Alfred Newman, Max Steiner, William Walton, Eric Wolfgang Korngold, Michaelis Rocha, and many others, featuring scores Wuthering Heights, Gone with the Wind, Casablanca, The Quiet Man, Lost Weekend, Now Voyager, Laura, and many others. Both albums were released on Sony Classical.
You're listening to the film, television, and video game music radio show, Cinematic Sound.
Welcome back to the program. Up next is music from a film called Don't Breathe, which tells the story of three characters, Rocky, Alex, and Money. They are three Detroit thieves who get their kicks by breaking into the houses of wealthy people. Money gets word about a blind veteran who won a major cash settlement following the death of his only child. Figuring he's an easy target, the trio invade the man's secluded home in an abandoned neighborhood. Soon they find themselves trapped inside with nowhere to go. Renowned Spanish composer Roque Banos has scored this film, and this is another collaboration with director Fede Alvarez, who Banos had worked with before on the update of Sam Raimi's classic Evil Dead, which won two 2013 International Film Music Critics Association Awards for Best Original Score for a Fantasy Science Fiction Horror Film and Film Music Composition of the Year. 2 awards greatly deserved. It's a fantastic score. Evil Dead's incredible, and if you want to get a chance to hear it, then you can check out my best scores of 2013 at cinematicsound.net. You won't be disappointed. Don't Breathe takes place almost entirely inside a house, as would-be robbers are confronted by an unexpectedly fierce owner. For such an intensely claustrophobic story, Banos decided to make the house play the music by using ordinary household objects or materials as instruments for the score. This clever technique intensifies the fear factor, as familiar sounds become sinister when used out of context. Tucson-based Anacaresta performed the music by striking metal surfaces such as pipes and cans with a hammer, bending and cutting wires, bowing saws, snapping bolt cutters, and even banging against gas tanks. For the emotional moments, Banos added piano, the sole traditional instrument in the score. In this way, the film's music melds seamlessly with the eerie sound effects. Now, Banos used a similar approach by incorporating the setting into the score for Ron Howard's epic drama, In the Heart of the Sea, in which he used sounds from the ship, sails, and harpoons alongside traditional instruments. Here again, as with scores like The Terminator, for example, we have a highly effective score for the film, but not so much on its own. If we weren't living in an age where everything gets a release, I highly doubt this score would have seen the light of day in any format. It's not bad, but as I said, it's composed for the film, which is its job, but doesn't really make for an interesting or enjoyable listen outside of the movie. That's my opinion. What do you think? Here are selections from Roque Banos' inventive score to the horror film Don't Breathe. And the original soundtrack recording is available on Lakeshore Records.
on the air and streaming on the web since 1996. This is Cinematic Sound.
Welcome back to the show, and I really hope you're enjoying today's program. I'm your host, Eric Woods, and we have another hour or so of film music left for you, and I really hope you enjoy the selections we have, which will begin with music from a new documentary called The Trade, featuring original score by a composer I have never heard before. However, she reached out and contacted me and asked if I could play some music on the program from her new score, and of course, I said yes. Her name is Mimi Page, and she's a singer, songwriter, producer, and composer born and raised in Los Angeles. Her cinematic music and distinct ethereal voices have been featured in a multitude of soundtracks and scores for acclaimed films, television, and video games. In 2012, her piano-driven ballad Butterfly, co-written with collaborator Bass Nectar, gained her international attention with radio play and television placements, along with guest performances at renowned venues across the United States. 2015, Page wrote and self-produced her second studio album called Ethereal Blues, a follow-up to her 2013 ambient release of Requiem, which was a recurring theme on Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. Her vocal and songwriting work with composer Einon Zur also earned her 3 award nominations for the theme of Sword Coast Legends, and is most recently featured in Zur's haunting score of Fallout 4. And of course, she just finished scoring her second feature film, The Trade, about the life and career of legendary CZW star Sick Nick Mundo, which is the score we're going to play for you today. And the CZW is the short form for Combat Zone Wrestling. Now, I saw the trailer to this film. I haven't seen it yet. And while I was a WWF wrestling fan in the 1980s, I was a huge fan of Hulk Hogan. Who wasn't? This sort of wrestling for the CZW is, well, it does absolutely nothing for me. It's overly violent. I mean, guys are getting smashed in the head with chairs, tables, fluorescent lighting, anything that they can bring to the ring, they just beat the crap out of each other with. The blood and pain is real, unlike in the WWF or WWE, where most of it isn't real. The injuries happen due to maybe mistakes, but here guys are getting hit hard and really hard with actual fluorescent lights, light bulbs, barbed wire, baseball bats with nails in them. It's crazy. I know people get off on this sort of stuff, but it doesn't do anything for me. I don't see the entertainment in it, and trust me, I enjoy my fair share of bloody movies. Now, Page was incredibly honored to score this film, as it gave her artistic freedom to not only experiment as a composer, but for her to be herself, as well as use her own voice as an instrument weaving throughout the score. So it's a very personal, internal score, lots of airy synth chords and notes with echoey piano and drone sounds to create the atmosphere of the film. It's very serious, very raw. It captures the brutality of it's not a sport, it's of the event, the spectacle, whatever. She does it really well. And I'm really interested in seeing the film so I can better understand what these guys go through, what's in their mind when they do something like this and do stuff like this to themselves for other people's entertainment. As for the score, I really like it, and if there's one that I could compare it to, it would be BT's excellent score to Monster. So I'm very pleased to present a brand new composer here on Cinematic Sound Radio, and the pleasure is mine to play music from the new documentary called The Trade. Music from the documentary called The Trade, with original score composed by Mimi Page. And unfortunately, I don't know who the record label is or who released this and whether this went through Page herself. But from what I know is you can pick this one up on iTunes. I really liked it. And if you want more information about Mimi Page, then check her out at mimipage.com.
Bringing you the very best of original music composed for films, television, and video games, this is Cinematic Sound.
Welcome back to the show. Up next is another new release, this time from the film Hell or High Water, which is a heist crime drama. This takes place in Texas and is directed by David Mackenzie. The film follows two brothers who execute a series of bank robberies to save their family's farm. It stars Chris Pine, Ben Foster, and Jeff Bridges. This has been one of the best reviewed films of the year. I'm really looking forward to viewing it myself. And the score for the film was composed by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis, who have quite a cult following and whose score to The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is a much-beloved score and has been hailed by some as the best score of the new century. I'm not one of those people, but whatever. If you're looking for music that is just dead serious, cold, depressing, and textural, and Cave and Ellis are your men. The score is written mostly for fiddles, synths, guitars, piano, and a few vocals. If it's fun you're looking for, then this isn't the score for you. If you're looking for an interesting listening experience, then this score isn't for you. Again, I haven't seen the film, but there are just some scores that belong in their respective films and should never really be heard outside of them. We've had one of those early on in the program for Don't Breathe. It's not bad per se, but really isn't my cup of tea. So I can't really say I enjoy this, but someone might, which is the reason why we have this show. So here is Hell or High Water by Nick Cave and Warren Ellis. Music from the original motion picture soundtrack, To Hell or High Water, with original score composed by Cave and Warren Ellis. The original soundtrack recording is available on Milan Records.
On the air and streaming on the web since 1996, this is Cinematic Sound.
Welcome back to the show. All right, folks, let's just get out of the dreariness of the past 40 minutes and let's present something that is going to knock your socks off. This comes from the game called ReCore, with original score by Seiter. Again, I'm not a gamer, but I've watched gameplay of this game, and it makes me wish I was a gamer. The game looks like a boatload of fun, and the sound design is absolutely incredible. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't really get a sense of how the music worked in the game. The sound effects just drowned out the music, so I'm glad we have the album to evaluate on its own. The score was recorded in London with full choir, giant orchestra, guitars, drums, cool analog synthesizers. It's pretty large in scope. The recording was done by Satoshi Noguchi, who's been the recording engineer for Joe Trapanese. You might recognize his work on Tron Legacy. That album sounds amazing. He's also incredibly young. He's in his mid-30s. He really knows what he's doing, folks. This soundtrack sounds amazing. Now, the sound for this score is very modern, but not in a bland or uninteresting way. The orchestrations are absolutely superb. There's lots of color, highlighted by modern drums and electronics that sound like an organic part of it all, instead of just beating you over the head the way most modern scores tend to do. Seiter said that this was one of the most exciting projects he's ever worked on, and by listening to the music, you can tell this is a very different side of Seiter's sound. Prepare yourself, folks. You're about to hear one of the scores of the year and Seiter's very best effort to date. Here is music from the video game ReCore. Enjoy. extraordinary music from the video game ReCore with original score composed by Seiter and performed by the Philharmonia Orchestra of London. The original soundtrack recording is available on Microsoft Studios Music. It's an incredible score, folks. Go out and buy it now. Seiter, one of these days, is going to be a big name in Hollywood. I really hope so. I pray for it. This guy is amazing. I've been following his work for many, many years, and you've heard his stuff on Fringe. You've heard his stuff on video games such as Star Trek The Game, Fracture. He wrote the music to Lego Jurassic World. I hope he gets his breakout project one of these days because he's an absolutely incredible talent. I love his work. This is one of the scores of the year, folks, and most definitely will be on my best of list at the end of the year.
You're listening to the film, television, and video game music radio show, Cinematic Sound.
Welcome back to the show. Up next is our re-recording of the week as well as our film music vault selection. We're going to listen to music from the 1966 film called Is Paris Burning, directed by René Clément, starring an ensemble cast about the liberation of Paris in August of 1944 by the French resistance and the Free French Forces during World War II. The film stars Kirk Douglas, Glenn Ford, Robert Stack, and many others. Now, the score was newly recorded. The entire 69-minute score is in its complete form here. As well as on the disc, you get themes and suites from other memorable Maurice Jarre scores of the 1960s, like The Train, Weekend at Dunkirk, The Night of the Generals, and The Damned. The album was performed by the acclaimed and award-winning 90-piece City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra conducted by Nick Raine. The orchestra was augmented by 12 pianos, 12 percussionists, and 2 accordings. And the heroic work of reconstructing the original score from the original orchestrations was done by Leo Arnaud. This is one of James Fitzpatrick's favorite Maurice Jarre scores. James Fitzpatrick, of course, is the founder of Tadlow Music. And I can see why he wanted it re-recorded. The original recording and release left much to be desired. Unfortunately, I'm not really a fan of this score. I'm not a fan of a lot of Maurice Jarre scores. However, Jarre's main theme waltz is quite famous and infectious. It's very French and perfectly captures the tone and style of Paris at the time. Other themes include marches and menacing bad guy motifs. Now, I love Tadlow Music's recordings, well, almost all of them. While the production aesthetics are great as always on this album, as I said, the score doesn't really resonate with me. This might turn out to be one of my most least listened to Tadlow recordings in my collection. However, if I do want to revisit the score someday, I might just play the reconstructed and re-recorded original soundtrack recording presentation, which is available on Disc 2. So now, here is one of James Fitzpatrick's very favorite scores of the late Maurice Jarre, the Academy Award-winning composer Maurice Jarre. Here is music from the 1996 film called Is Paris Burning? That was a new recording of music from the 1966 film called Is Paris Burning, featuring original score composed by Maurice Jarre. And in that recording, the City of Prague Philharmonic Orchestra was conducted by Nick Rain, and that album, which was just newly recorded and is available now through Tadlow Music. Well, we've sadly come to the end of yet another edition of Cinematic Sound Radio. You're listening to it on various platforms, including Rock On Radio at wrockradio.com. Again, thanks to everyone at WRock for helping me get this show on the WRock airwaves. We're also part of the Pod Tyrant network of podcasts. And thanks to everyone at Pod Tyrant for all of their support of this show. Feel free to reach out to Cinematic Sound Radio by emailing me at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. Don't forget to visit cinematicsound.net to hear an archived version of this show and years of previous program as well. We're also on iTunes, and if you're listening to us on iTunes and if you haven't done so yet, please rate and review this show. It really helps us get up ahead in the rankings on iTunes. If you have a request or album you'd like to hear, please email me at cinematicsound@yahoo.com. I also want to thank Tim Burton for lending his voice, for all the bumpers and stingers you hear on the program, and composer David Cosina for writing Cinematic Sound Radio's intro music. And the last score we're going to present for you on today's program is a personal favorite, a film that I clearly remember seeing in the theaters and absolutely loving. It's Crocodile Dundee, starring Paul Hogan. And it was just a lot of fun, this movie, and I remember getting it then on VHS and pretty much wearing that tape out as well. I love the contrast between the Australian outback and the bustling and busy metropolis of New York, and how Crocodile Dundee, Mick Dundee, how he tries to fit into that bustling metropolis. The second film wasn't as good, but still equally as entertaining. And then, of course, there was a third movie where Peter Best didn't score the film, and that was given to Basil Poledouris. I love this score as well. It features one of my favorite main themes and also features one of my favorite sub-themes. It's a love theme, a very simplistic love theme, which is played on high flute. It's a 4-note theme, really, really easy. It doesn't get a lot of development, but when it's played, it just works brilliantly in the scenes that it accompanies, including this fantastic aerial shot of Mick Dundee and Sue Charlton, the reporter, played by future wife Linda Klosowski. And it's just this wonderful shot of them swimming in this just crystal clear pond, and this theme just plays over top of it and just kind of echoes throughout the outback. I really enjoyed that shot, and that's one of the last scenes that you see before we head to New York in the middle of the picture. Anyway, Peter Best's score was actually released twice. It was released in a regular edition, and then Silver Screen Records released an expanded edition of this score, which I'm pretty sure has everything that was written for the film on that album. And that's the album we're going to play for you on today's program. So here now to end off today's program is music from the 30th anniversary of the comedy Crocodile Dundee, with original score composed by Peter Best. I'd like to thank you for tuning into today's program. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the show. And until next week, take care and happy listening.